Hello BookTube, hello friends, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth and today is Friday, so I thought I would just do a Friday Reads. I have so many other videos that I could do, but I'm just overwhelmed with the number of videos that I could do, and I thought it just seemed like the thing to do today. I haven't gotten to do a Friday Reads yet this year. In fact, I've hardly done any videos at all, and I've already finished 14 books, but instead of telling you about all 14 of the books that I've read this month, I'll save those for the end of the month, and I'll just today tell you about what I'm currently reading, and hopefully that'll be enough to fill up this video. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Chloe from Always Booked, because her and her family are in town right now, and we have tried 3 different times to get together this week, and it hasn't worked out any of those times, and I'm so sorry. I really wanted to meet her in person. We were even going to film a video or two, and one thing or another just kept interfering, and it just wasn't meant to be. So Chloe, hi, if you're watching this, and I hope that you guys have had a wonderful time here, and hopefully next time you come back to Central Florida, we will be able to get together. I met her sister Alana a couple of years ago when they were here, and we didn't think about filming a video, but I at least took a picture on Instagram. But this time, you know, all week Chloe and I have been texting back and forth, and we just couldn't get together. So I didn't even get a picture out of the deal, but anyway, I want you to be sure and check out her channel. Her channel name used to just be Chloe something, I think, or Hey, It's Me Chloe, something like that. And she's recently changed it, and she took some time off of BookTube, and she came back a couple of months ago, and she changed her channel name to Always Booked. So I will leave a link to it down below. She's doing a lot of reading vlogs and everything, and you should check them out, and definitely subscribe. So let's get started with what I am currently reading. Oh, you know what? Before I get into that, let me tell you my best news of the week. My bag was found. The library, the bag that had 4 library books and my Kindle that was missing since the day before Thanksgiving. Thank you, Jesus. My husband found it a couple of days ago in the floor of our walk-in closet. The clothes were kind of hanging over it, and there wasn't anything. I don't really store anything in that area. Kind of next to it is an old clothes basket where I toss some random things sometimes if they, need to go to the laundry, like chair covers and stuff like that. But next to it, I think there's a couple of pairs of old shoes of Randy's that are there, but it's no place that I would ever think to look. It's no place where I regularly store things, and I have no idea how this bag got there. But for some reason, Randy was moving the clothes around, and he came in the kitchen that morning, and he's like, "Here, look at this." And I was like, oh, wow, that's so exciting. I was so thankful. And yes, the first thing I said was, "Thank you, Jesus," because I had been praying, and I knew that I wasn't going to find it on my own. It would have to be a God thing, and it was. So thankfully, I did not have to pay for any of those books. I was able to get them all turned in, and I have my Kindle back. So the biggest thing I missed on my Kindle, because the books and stuff I could pull up on another Kindle, but I had cataloged almost all of the books that I own, and they're not backed up. So I need to figure out how to actually back them up with the company that runs the app, because I was just going to have to start all over and recatalog all 2,000 books or how many ever I have, and that wasn't going to be fun, but you got to do what you got to do. But I'm excited that I don't have to do that. Okay, so let's get started. Now, I have finished 14 books that since the beginning of January. I finished 14, all audiobooks, every single one of them, but I have been reading some print books. 2 that I have especially put in a pretty good amount of time on, and then a few other devotional type things where I read like a little bit a day. But the main 2 books that I've been reading in print, and I'm still working on them, I have 60 pages left in Hark the Herald, Angels Slay by Vicki Delany. This is book 3 in the year-round Christmas mystery series. This is about a little town in, I guess, upstate New York called Rudolph, and they have Christmas themed their whole town. They celebrate Christmas not only in December, but in July. And they have all these Christmas themed businesses. And it's really been, I think, a really good series. I have been enjoying it. We got started reading the first one in the Book One Cozies Club. And then last year, Di was like, well, let's just go ahead and read the second one as a bonus read. And so this year she said, let's go ahead and read the third one as a bonus read. So I think I have always read them in January. I'm supposed to read them in December, but I never get to it until January. But that's okay. So, you know, why should this year be any different? And I have really been enjoying it. So there is a fourth one out now, I noticed, and I guess I'll read it next year. I'll stay a year behind, but that's okay too. And I think it's very good. The main character, her name is Mary, Merry, and her father is the resident Santa. She is the resident Mrs. Claus, so she plays Mrs. Claus with him during the parades and things like that. And she owns a little gift shop called Mrs. Claus Treasures. And in this particular book, we learn, well, I think in earlier books, we already knew that she had been working in New York City for a magazine for a while, and when her and her fiance broke up, she decided to come back to Rudolph, and she set up shop in this little store. So now the magazine that she used to work for has come to town to do a feature story on the town and everything they do. And her former fiance is now engaged to the publisher, the boss, and she's actually the granddaughter of the original publisher of this magazine, but she's taken it over because her grandmother retired. And so everybody, there's a whole mix of characters and personalities. A lot of them clash with each other. Mary doesn't really particularly enjoy having a lot of them around. There are a couple of them I think that she gets along with, and but for the most part, the group that are there, she's not all that crazy about. And it's also difficult for her to be around her ex-fiance. But she's managing, and the story starts from there. So I won't give you any spoilers. I'm not even going to tell you who gets murdered, because that's a little farther in to the story, and I think it's better, you know, with these kind of stories to not give away too much. But this has been a really fun series, and I don't think you would really need to read them in order. I mean, I always do, and so I always recommend that. But you could pretty much pick up any one of these, and you would be fine. So this one is Hark the Herald, Angels Slay. Then the other book that I am currently reading, I'm about a third of the way done with Miss Clare Remembers by Miss Reed. Now this particular edition has 2 books in it, so it doesn't look like I'm very far into it, but I'm only reading Miss Clare Remembers, which is the first half of this book, and I'm a third of the way done with that. So Miss Clare in the Fairacre books is a retired school teacher who used to teach with Miss Reed, and these are her memories of her childhood and growing up and early teaching years. So far I've just read the section of her childhood, and but I think it's going to go on through to when she starts teaching at Fairacre. So this is really delightful book, as all Miss Reed books are, and I highly recommend that you pick one up. And then the other, well, actually one other book that I have opened, barely, I'm not very far at all. I have been wanting to read this forever. This is The Annotated Hobbit. Now, I've read The Hobbit at least 3 or 4 times in my life, but I picked up this annotated version from our library back when I was the book sales chairman. It came through our donation bin, and I said, oh, I want to buy that. And I've been wanting to read it ever since, and I just haven't gotten around to it. It is in one of the stacks of my 20 by 20 challenge, and I thought I'd go ahead and pick it up this month since Sarah and Krista are doing a Hobbit read-along. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and reread Lord of the Rings. I've read those at least 3 times as well. But since I had this sitting around needing to be read anyway, I decided I'd go ahead and pick it up this month. It'll probably take me more than a month to read it. I have just barely opened it and read some of the introductory information, and I haven't really gotten into the actual story. Well, except for the first page, because that famous first page about, you know, there being a hole and you know, for a hobbit, I can't remember. Some people I'm sure can even quote it, but anyway, I did read that because, you know, that's fun. It also has illustrations and annotations. It is annotated by Douglas A. Anderson. So anyway, this is something that I have barely started and probably won't finish this month. Now, a couple of other print books that I do plan to start and maybe finish. I don't know. Here we are already, the next to last week of the month, but this one I should be able to finish. One of my stacks and one of my lists that I'm reading this year for my 20 by 20 challenge is the series of unfortunate events, and I'm on book 2. So I need to read a book every month to finish the series by the end of the year, and this is The Reptile Room by Lemony Snicket. And then also, in order to keep up with my Home to Heather Creek books this year, I didn't get this read in December, but that's okay. As long as I get it read this month, this is A Patchwork Christmas by Kristen Eckhart. I counted up the books, and between this book and the next Christmas book in the series, there's only 10 books. So that means by reading this one in January, as long as I read one a month, then by next December, I will get to the next Christmas book in the series. So that is my goal and my plan, and we'll see if I can do it. Okay, then also in print, I am reading the Bible all the way through in a 3-year period. So this year in January, I started in the Book of Ezekiel. It's a tough book. I have read the Bible through only one time before, and I was pretty young, so I didn't remember specifically what some of the different prophet books were about. But Ezekiel is one where God is delivering his punishment to the Israelites, and it's a tough book because they did a lot of things that they agreed not to do. And so, there's going to be consequences for that. Well, there were consequences, but I'm reading about them right now, and it's pretty harsh. So usually with my chapter a day in the Bible, I like to read some kind of devotional book. And one of the things I started reading last year, the ladies in our church started getting Journey, which I used to get Journey magazine several years ago at a different church, and I really enjoyed it. So when it was offered to me, I said, oh, yes, thank you. That would be great. Well, I didn't have my January issue by the beginning of the month, and I didn't get it for a few days. So I was looking around my house trying to think what else I could read. By the way, this is a daily devotional. There are a couple of extra articles each month, but then there is a devotional for each day of the month, and the magazine comes out monthly. So it's a really nice devotional book. So I was looking around my house because I didn't have that available yet at the beginning of the month, and I thought, well, what can I read for a devotional? And I wanted to read something else, in addition to my chapter of the Bible. And I remembered that I had this little book. This has a month's worth of devotionals. So I started it, and I decided just to go ahead and continue it. It's really easy to read. It's called An Apple a Day by Karla Doorknocker, and it's got the sweetest illustrations. They kind of remind me of Mary Engelbreit, but I think that the author illustrated them as well. Actually, I'm not certain. Let me see here. Who is the illustrator? I'll have to put glasses on to see if it tells. It should tell. Anyway, it's just a really sweet book with beautiful illustrations. There's even a couple of recipes, and it doesn't really say. So I'm going to guess that the illustrations are also by the author. It's just a delightful book. It's all about apples, an apple theme, and I'm really enjoying it. So that will be done by the end of the month. And then a book I am reading after my devotional, I'm reading a page a day for the whole year, is this one. It's called A Year with C.S. Lewis, Daily Readings from His Classic Works. So there are selections from The Great Divorce, The Problem of Pain, Mere Christianity, Screwtape Letters. So far, those are some of the ones that I have encountered, and there may be others as we go along. And this is not an easy thing to read, in that you have to really think about it. You have to think about what you're reading, and it's very philosophical. So it's more of a philosophy book than a devotional book, but there is a selection for each day, and it does deal with faith and Christianity for the most part, at least the sections that I have read so far. So it fits fine with my devotional, but it's not technically what I would consider a devotional book. But anyway, I am glad that I found it. I got that at a yard sale middle of last year and decided that I would read it this year. Okay, so then, have I already told you about what I am going to read? I can't even remember. Did I show you these? Yes, I think I did. So these are my next print books that I hope to get to. The other stuff I'm already reading. So then the rest of what I'm reading right now is audiobooks. I'm having a hard time getting into this one. This is from my third book club. It's Every Breath by Nicholas Sparks. And I'll tell you more about it when I finally do finish it. I had planned to listen to it in my car, and for some reason my car CD player is kind of finicky, and those discs just wouldn't play in my car. And so I had to bring it in the house. I may listen to some of it tonight while I'm hopefully finishing the puzzle. I've got about 500 pieces left on that big puzzle that I was telling you about in an earlier video. It's a 2,000 piece puzzle, and it's a monster. So anyway, the other audiobook I'm almost done with. This is my Newbery read for the month, Up a Road Slowly by Irene Hunt. This is from the 60s. It's a Newbery winner from the 60s. It's a coming-of-age story about a young girl. Starts out when she's 7, when her mother dies. She goes to live with a spinster school teacher aunt and uncle who is a bachelor. Their brother and sister. They live on the same property but not in the same house. And it's a delightful story. Just so good. So good. And then also in my car, I'm listening to yet another Christmas book. This is Debbie Macomber's newest Christmas book called A Mrs. Miracle Christmas. And in this story, Mrs. Miracle is doing a couple of good things for a family. She is become a caregiver for the grandmother of the main couple in the book, and this main couple have been unable to conceive, and they've been unable to adopt a baby, and they're just heartbroken. And so I think Mrs. Miracle is going to help in that area as well. So I love Mrs. Miracle. She is a fun character. She's supposed to be an angel, and she's like the sweet little lady who comes and, you know, she kind of swoops in and does all these wonderful, amazing things, and helps people when they need it. So it's a sweet, she's a sweet character. And then what I hope to get to next on audio is by Marie Bostwick. This is From Here to Home. This is kind of the last book in all of the Cobbled Court books. This is not specifically Cobbled Court, but it's related. So I don't want to go into it all right now, but I have listened to on audio 2 other books that are Cobbled Court related, and this is the very last one. So I'll tell you more about those when I actually get that all finished. I'm going to listen to that on Hoopla. The ones that are not on Hoopla are on Scribd. So thankfully I have Scribd now, and I can listen to the ones that I couldn't get on Hoopla. And then on audio CD from the library, I just checked out Shell Game, which is Kingdom Keepers number 5. This is a series that I hope to get finished with this year in 2020. So I think some of those are on Scribd too, because the 5th one is the last one that the library has on CD, and I looked them up on Scribd, and I believe I can get the last 2 on Scribd, which is awesome. So that's it. That is everything that I'm currently reading, and let me know what you're reading this weekend. I am going to be trying to get as much of this finished as I can of the stuff that's already started, and then we'll just see how much more I can get done from there. So I hope you're having a wonderful day. Have a great weekend. Read a good book, and God bless you.